Oh, sorry, I'm running away.
Oh.
Kidding, that's the other guys.
David, Chris Hipkins denies that he's dodging public accountability, despite refusing to give oral evidence before the Royal Commission. What do you make of it?
Well, he was happy to be in our living rooms at 1 p.m. every day from the so-called podium of truth. Where's he gone? What's changed? I would have thought if you cared about this country and responding to its next pandemic, which will happen, then you'd want to front up and tell your story. I think the contrast between his behaviour during the pandemic, when they do anything to get in front of the cameras, when we had to endure a 20-minute lecture before they gave us the daily numbers, compared with this behaviour we've learned about today, I think that contrast speaks for itself.
He says that he's answered already all of the questions that that need to be answered. Is there any problem with that?
Well, of course, they could have just given us the COVID data at 1 o'clock every day, but they were happy to talk for 20 minutes before they actually gave us the numbers. And I just ask, what's changed between when they were happy to invade our living room every single day and when they're being asked to do something for New Zealand by a Royal Commission and they're nowhere to be seen? I think that's really disappointing. I think it's important that we recognise the size of the challenge that they put in front of New Zealand. Shutting people down. I mean, school attendance is still on the recovery path from the 2022 plummet that it got after years of COVID lockdowns and disruption. People are still traumatised from missing out on seeing their dying loved ones or missing the birth of their child because of the restrictions that these people put in place. I don't think it's unreasonable to show up for an hour or two and actually give your side of the story for the posterity of the nation. It's good that they've cooperated, in privacy, we're told, but I think the New Zealand people deserve them to show up.
He had some concerns about public safety at those hearings, or his safety, at those public hearings. Do you agree with that there could be some people who would heckle him or abuse him or possibly even attack him?
Well, if he has a genuine reason to be concerned about his safety, then as a parliamentary colleague, I am right beside him and any other colleague. But if he's using public safety as an excuse, well, that is lower than the low.
The Royal Commission said that there were safety concerns raised by people who had appeared at the previous set of public hearings, that they had since been subject to harassment and threats and so on. How should the former ministers factor that into their decision on whether to appear? Well,
let me ask this question. Are we going to let a small group of antisocial people stop our great nation from having a democratic discourse? I think the simple facts are we don't decide that because there's a few crazies out there we're no longer going to have a parliament. But actually, when you lock people down, when you segregate them by their vaccine choices, when you stop people coming in and out of the country, even at critical times with life, death and birth and sickness in their family, then of course there is going to be anger. But the right way to address that is actually to listen, to dialogue and to talk, not to hide away, especially when you're someone who is very happy to be in our living room at 1 p.m. every day, day after day after day after day after day.
Do you think this will damage public trust?
Well, absolutely it damages public trust, because for all the people who are out there saying, I don't believe that these guys really have our best interests at heart, I was told something by a very wise man at his 90th birthday. He said, no one's out to get you, you just have to show them who you are. And I think there was an opportunity here to come and explain their perspective. Maybe we have it wrong, but they're not doing it.
Are they running scared?
Well, I don't know what their emotional state is, but I would have thought that they have a public duty for the power they wielded and their demonstrated predilection for public attention, which they've gone after day during the pandemic, to front up now.
Does it look like they're running from accountability, though?
Unfortunately, a lot of people will see them as running from accountability, and that's what erodes that trust.
What did you make of what happened in the House, Chloe Swarbrick getting suspended? Do you think it was the right move?
Well, it's very, very simple. She was told to leave. She said she'd leave gladly. Then she wanted to come back, so she wasn't leaving gladly, it seems. Then she said she wouldn't apologise. Then she was asked to leave and she had to be named. Now she's been suspended. I mean, Chloe Swarbrick is the author of all of this. And as usual, we're seeing absolute classic Chloe. Lots of theatrics, lots of self-declared moral supremacy, but no achievement out of it.
Were you surprised Winston Peters came to her defence?
Well, he made a point that he thinks the place is robust. He's right about that. But I think it's important to just go back to what the purpose of this place is. The people out there who pay the bills through their taxes send people like me to speak on their behalf. Now, if we who are sent here spend our whole time trying to discredit the character and motivations of other citizens' representatives, we're not going to get through much business, and that's why this does actually matter. It's about whether we are playing the person or the ball.
Is the Speaker targeting Chloe?
There's absolutely no reason to think that he is targeting one person. He said, "You're out for the rest of the week," and as he said himself, and she said, "I'll go gladly." Now she says she doesn't want to go gladly. She's the author of this.
Prime Minister Chris Hipkins says that Benjamin Netanyahu has lost the plot. Do you agree with that?
Well, I don't know what his basis for saying that is. However, all I know is the whole situation is very sad, and our government's working carefully through how we respond to it.
He says that Netanyahu isn't listening to the international community. They're continuing forward with their new military operation and attacking Gaza, and that seemed to be the basis for him just saying that. Would you agree with it on that basis?
Well, I'd want to find out exactly what his full basis for saying that is, rather than respond to quotes which, for all I know, may be selective. So no offence.
Would you view it as a breach of the coalition agreement if New Zealand First had not voted with the government on that motion to name and suspend?
Well, the coalition agreement requires the government to vote together on procedural matters.
Great.
All right, folks. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.